Dear learners, welcome you all to e-learning platform. Now we have reached week 5. In this week we will learn about Silas Marner written by George Eliot. Particularly we will discuss about the biography of George Eliot and the background of the 19th century during the Queen Victoria and her reign in England, and what was the social perspectives and social context and political context during that era, and how that affected the writing of the literary novelists. So let's begin. Me, Faisal Ahmed, with you throughout this lecture. Silas Marner by George Eliot. When a lonely, luckless old man is robbed of his life savings, it seems that fate has played one last cruel trick on him, until the mysterious appearance of a homeless, golden haired little girl opens an unexpected new chapter in his life, bringing a breath of innocence and the healing gift of love to the embittered waver of Ravelot, Silas Marner. So this image has been provided for you to engage in an image-based learning. Think over this picture and engage your classmates and peers to discuss about the appearance of these characters. What makes this character look different? Think over this question. And the next, what does his expression tell us? Discuss it, think over it, brainstorm it, and then discuss with other peers. And the last, what words would you use to describe him? These characters, which you will find starring in a movie produced in 1995. So I will provide the link of the movie in the next week, week 6. Or you can search it over YouTube and watch it. So what can you infer, what do you know, and what can you see? Learning objectives in this week: to introduce George Eliot, to investigate Eliot's 19th century England, and to record contextual information. Literacy objectives: spelling rule 6. Spelling rule: I before E except after C when the sound is pronounced long E. For example, believe, relieve, receive, but receipt, and achieve. Context: to understand the context of Silas Marner, you need to know something about the author's background and the times in which he wrote. This is George Eliot, who was a woman, though she used a male's name to publish her novel due to male dominating restriction in the society during her period. George Eliot was the pen name of Mary Ann Evans, so her real name was Mary Ann Evans. Though the real name was something different, Mary Ann Evans. She deducted E from Annie and then made it Anne, Mary Ann Evans. Her mother died in 1836, and from then until his death in 1849, she was her father's housekeeper. After that, she moved to London. Although she was influenced by the evangelical preacher Rev. John Edmund Jones when younger, she moved in intellectual circles in London that sought to question conventional beliefs. However, it was not just in this or in taking a male pen name that she was unconventional. In 1854, she started to live with G.H. Lewis. They remained unmarried because he had an estranged wife. After his death, she married John W. Cross, who was an old friend, in 1880. George Eliot is best known for her novels, but published a variety of work including articles, poetry, and satirical writing. Around She is famous for her 7 novels, including Silas Marner, which we are supposed to study in this semester. The Industrial Revolution took place between the 1790s and 1860s, a time that saw traditional agriculture and manufacturing methods completely changed as a result of more modern technologies. So, previous profession were being changed due to the modern technologies. Mills and factories took place, the villagers' professions, agriculture and others like weaving, which is like Tati. Obviously, such huge changes had a massive impact on the social and economic conditions of the time, and hence society changed as a whole. It was possible for people to become very rich, but it was also possible for them to lose their livelihood. So there was far more gap between poor and rich in the society. When Silas Marner arrives in Ravello, a village which is one of the setting of the novel, he and his skills are viewed with suspicion, that means outdated. Even a settler, if he came from distant parts, hardly ever ceased to be viewed with a remnant of distrust, which would have prevented any surprise if a long course of inoffensive conduct on his part had ended in the commission of a crime, especially if he had any reputation for knowledge showed in his skill in handicraft. All cleverness, whether in the rapid use of the difficult instrument, the tongue, or in some other art unfamiliar to villagers, was in itself suspicious. Ravello is contrasted with Lanternier. Lantern is another village, which is another setting of the novel. So two settings, Lanternier and Ravello. When Lanternier is gone, it is replaced by a factory, and modern technology replaced the village's profession. It is tempting to say that George Eliot is celebrating the permanence of the rural community, but this comparison is not the real core of the novel. The Victorian novel. Queen Victoria reigned for over 60 years, and there were many important novels written during this time. These novels often included the difficulties faced by the poorer people of the time, the challenges that the Industrial Revolution brought, the portrayal of town and country life, a moral lesson celebrating things like hard work, resolution, and love, as well as good fortune. The moral statement in Silas Marner is quite a complex one. A strong narrative voice. There are often comments that give historical perspective, satire, irony, and humor. Ghost stories and gothic tales are very popular, so the fairy tale feel of some aspects of Silas Marner and the mystery and suspense attached to some aspects of the plot would not have been strange to Eliot's audience. The plot, key points of plot of Silas Marner. Silas Marner is the major character of the novel. Revolving home, the whole plot develops, climax, and then relaxation or anticlimax, and then conclusion. Silas Marner is a weaver who was accused and framed of murder, and so accused of theft, not murder actually, and so moved to Ravello to escape the prejudice. He has been alone for 15 years and finds pleasure in counting money. One night he has theft, not murder. So one night he has his money stolen by Dunsey, the son of the squire, who robs him after killing his brother Godfrey's horse at the races. When Silas finds out, he is distraught and integrates within the community for the first time in search of help. Soon the robberies talk of the village, and there is much speculation as to who did it. Neighbors try to console Silas, and encourage him to return to church, something he hasn't done in 15 years. On the night of the squire's party, Godfrey's secret wife is making her way to the party to reveal her identity with their child. However, on the way, she takes an overdose and dies outside Silas' house. The child is left to wander inside. On finding the child, Silas runs up to the party where Godfrey recognizes his child and returns to the house with the doctor. He recognizes his wife and is relieved his secret is safe. Silas adopts the child. As the years pass, they return to the church and become accepted and recognized in the community. Godfrey identifies himself to Eppie, but Eppie refuses his offer to live with him and stays with Silas. Eppie eventually marries and they live happily ever after with Silas. So Silas acted as a role of father to Eppie, though the real father of her was Godfrey. So that's all about the lesson in week 5, and we'll discuss more about the novel in detail in week 6. Thank you very much for being with me. Bye bye.